Hi, all of you. Welcome, all of you, to this session under Sugarfit. I work as a health coach with Sugarfit. My name is Venus Singh. I have an experience of nutrition or studying. I've been, studying and working in the field of nutrition for about a decade now. And in terms of setting the context for this session, why we thought about this session and how we came up with this idea is, let me just tell you that, see, in the last 1 decade, what we have seen is that the food industries have kind of dominated our mindsets. They have dominated our kitchens. So we have, lots and lots of products around us in the superstores available on online grocery stores, and they are everywhere. Okay. And these food industries kind of brainwash us, I feel, because we think they make us think through advertisements and various marketing campaigns that cooking real food is very, very difficult, or say it takes too much of time, or it's very expensive to cook real food, and it is easy to reach out for convenience food, and it is more economical in that sense. But trust me, that that is not the scenario. In our country, especially in India, it's more easy to assemble meal from freshly available products like fresh fruits and vegetables, grains and pulses, because all of this is really easily available, and it is much, much more economical. And if we actually plan out the entire week's diet or the meals that we take, then it will be really easy to combine them or compile them in a very short period of time as well. So we just need to understand the right cooking methods and the right combinations of food in order to have a healthy meal, which is not packaged or produced outside in a factory. But in spite of understanding all of that as a nutritionist, or working with a lot of patients who have been managing chronic diseases, say diabetes or pre-diabetes, I understand that realistically or practically, sometimes we have to reach out for packaged food. For example, say packaged milk cartons or packaged yogurt, or say a breakfast cereal if somebody doesn't have time to cook the breakfast in the morning before leaving for office. So sometimes we have to reach out for these packaged foods. And when there is a need to reach out for these packaged food and adding so somebody is commenting that old age people won't understand much of English. So I will try talking in Hindi in between. I can do that. And at the end of the session, we can actually go ahead and address their queries in हिंदी. तो अगर किसी को हिंदी में कोई सवाल पूछना है, तो सेशन के बाद में जब हम क्वेश्चन आंसर्स करेंगे थोड़ा बहुत और एक दूसरे से बात करेंगे, तब आप अपने सवाल पूछ सकते हैं और मैं हिंदी में उनका जवाब दे दूंगी. ठीक है. तो अभी वैसे भी हम जो बात करेंगे उसके साथ में एक प्रेजेंटेशन चलेगा, तो उसमें काफी सारे पिक्चर्स होंगे. Okay, so these pictures will guide the old age people who cannot understand English. जिन्हें English नहीं समझ में आएगा, and rest I can take in the question answer session. So yeah, thank you. Okay, so like we were discussing that sometimes realistically or practically we need to reach out for these packaged foods, and it becomes say kind of unavoidable that we have to reach out for these foods. So at that time, or in that sense, if we reach out for anything that is packaged or made outside in a factory, then what should be the ideal choice, and how to decide on what is right for you and what's not right? Right. So considering all of these points, we actually decided that we should have a session with all of you to make you understand a little bit about reading the nutritional labels on the foods that we pick up from the supermarkets or the shelves of markets, or say order online from the grocery stores. So understanding these food labels, what I have actually understood or interpreted is that there is a lack of understanding among the common people, or say I am dealing with a lot of diabetics and pre-diabetics coming under Sugarfit, and previously also in my experience years. So people usually read the claims like a diabetic friendly, or they will read up claims like diet or diet food or baked non-fried, or there will be other claims like sugar-free foods or free from refined sugar. These foods do seem to be the ideal choice, but unless we delve deep into the nutritional label, we will not be able to understand whether these claims are right or not. So packaging has two sides, okay? So one is the front side, the next is the back side. So the front side might have all of these claims. Say it will say trans fat free or sugar free or stuff like that. But when we turn the packaging on the back side, it will have certain ingredients and it will have a nutritional label. So it's always important to turn the packet around and look at the back of the packet to read and understand the nutritional label or the ingredient list. Both of them are important, and then make a better and informed decision, right? So I will just take you through my presentation and we will talk more while taking the presentation. So like I was talking, that when we turn the back of the food, the back of the packaging, we will see a nutritional label. So this is the form how we see the nutritional label. So it was recently revised by the organizations involved, that the calories per serving should be highlighted in bold and in big font size. So it's always highlighted now, and the calories or the total nutritional value is given per serving of the food. So starting from the top, the first thing that we have to double check is the serving size of the food. Okay. So serving size is the most important thing. I will actually discuss this on the next slide in great details. So let's take it up then. But the two first lines on this label, as you can see, is 8 servings per container, and serving size is 2/3 cup, which is 55 grams. So if you pick up a package or a container, there will be two things mentioned. First will be the total servings in that packet. So the total servings could be 3 or 4 or 8, it will vary, and there will be one serving size mentioned. So it's important that we understand that the calories, the total fat, the cholesterol, or all the details given below are only for that 55 grams of product, and it is not for the entire packet. So for example, you pick up a packet of baked chips. So the serving size could be only 11 to 12 chips, and the calories could be 150 or say 100 for those baked chips. So you will think that, okay, this is not a very high calorie, it's just 100, 150 calories, let me just take up. But if you see closely, those 150 calories are only for those 11 chips, and they are not for the entire packet. So you have to be very, very conscious of the serving size of the food mentioned, okay? So in case you decide to have, instead of those 11, you decide to have the entire pack, then you have to multiply the ingredients, the calories. So to do a little maths here, I know it sounds a little difficult, but little technical, but it's okay, because in case you are dealing with a chronic condition like diabetes or pre-diabetes, it is important, very, very important to count the calories, to understand this nutrition label. Okay, so it's much more important for you. After the serving size and the servings per container, the next comes the calories. So the entire food label will go according to the serving size. Okay. So first will be the total calories. Now calories will come from 3 ingredients. First will be fat, second will be carbohydrates, and the third will be protein. So calories will be coming from all of them. It comes from protein as well, which many people are not really aware of. So a very high, very, very high protein food will also contribute to the calories. Okay. The next will be the fat percentage. So here what we have to look for is the trans fat. So the trans fat is the most harmful form of fat that a diabetic or a pre-diabetic or anybody for that matter who's looking for a healthy packaged food should look for there. Okay, the trans fat should be 0, or there should be a label mentioned there, 0 trans fat free. It's very, very important. Okay, then comes cholesterol. So the cholesterol claim is very, very funny. So sometimes, it will come up in a vegetarian product also, but cholesterol is usually present naturally in all the animal foods, and none of the plant-based foods or oils or anything of that matter will contain cholesterol. Okay. So that will be 0 if it's a plant-based food. And if it is an animal-based food, we need to look into it that the cholesterol content should not be very, very high. Okay. Then comes the sodium content. So the sodium content is also important, most important if you have a high blood pressure condition. Okay. So not more than 2.3 grams or 2300 mg in a day should be consumed by a person who is hypertensive or who has high blood pressure. Therefore, if you are looking out for the high sodium foods, we should keep a check that the quantities, total quantities throughout the day are not a lot. So it's a, if agar hum khane mein salt dal rahe hain, then it will be about half a teaspoon of salt throughout the day in the entire food we have. So we have to, if you're having a packaged food, we have to subtract or kind of keep this in consideration. Okay. Next comes the carbohydrates. So carbohydrates will have two forms. It will be the fiber and it will be the total sugars. So what's important for us is the fiber. So as a diabetic or a pre-diabetic or a Weight Watcher, or if you have any predisposition, genetic predisposition to a medical condition, then we must look out for high fiber foods. High fiber foods will be very, very important and helpful for us. So high fiber is more than 3 grams per 100 grams, okay? And total sugars should be very, very less. So total sugars will include the sugars naturally present in the food plus the added sugar. Okay, so for example, something that is fruit based or milk product based, then it will have some natural sugar present, like milk and milk products have lactose and sugars naturally present. Okay, so they will be there. And then if there is some added white sugar or brown sugar or other forms, then that will be added to this percentage. So we have to watch out for the added sugars. And as diabetics, the total sugars should be very, very less. Okay, dietary fiber has to be more. So dietary fiber is the good carbohydrate, and the refined sugars is the bad one for us. Protein, we really want protein. So the protein content should be good. Okay. Then we'll come to the vitamins and minerals. So this will vary from label to label. So it could be mentioned, 2 or 3 could be mentioned. If the product is fortified, then it will have more mention of vitamins and minerals here. So here, what we see is a daily percentage, daily recommended value. So it's based on the 2000 calorie diet here. Usually on a nutritional advice is based on a 2000 calorie diet. So if you are dieting, or if you have your meal planned by a health coach or a nutritional practitioner, then your diet will have certain calorie recommendation. Okay, so it could be 1500 calorie, it could be 1200 calorie for a diabetic. It could be, say, somewhere around 17 or 1800 calorie if you are a tall male. So it depends on the gender, it depends on your height, it depends on your BMI, it depends on all of that. So we have to take in consideration our calorie budget, okay, and our total budget, the total budget of all the vitamins and minerals. So it's good to have good vitamins and minerals, and a 45% shows a very high percentage. For example, iron here, and a low percentage is 6% here. Okay. So like I was talking about the serving size, so there are probably more servings per container than you realize. Okay, so the servings are probably kind of smaller than we think. Okay, so like I told you, a pack of baked chips, you might think that it has less calories, but it might have a very small serving size mentioned. Okay, so it is important that we do little maths here. We need to understand that the serving size is mentioned for a purpose, and we have to stick to that. In case we're having a little high calorie food, then we have to stick to the serving size. So portion size and serving size are two different terms. So portion size could be the food that you eat or something that you put on your plate or bowl, but the serving size is actually the recommended amount. It could be, the serving size is always mentioned in easy to understand terms. So it will be mentioned in basic household measures like a cup or spoons or counting the number. It will not be in grams. Even if it's in grams, you need not say measure it. If you own a food scale and if you're really, really conscious, then you could go ahead and measure the serving size for the first month to understand that how much is required for you. And then slowly you will get an idea or a understanding of how much is fine for you. For example, if you're having a breakfast cereal every day, then you need to understand what's the correct serving size. Okay. So let me move to the next slide. Here we are talking about the fat on food labels. Okay, so the fat will include different kinds of fats. Okay, so it has both saturated fats and unsaturated fats. So we need to understand that the amount of saturated fats or trans fats should not be high. Okay, the unsaturated fats, if they are there, which will be further divided into monounsaturated fats and polyunsaturated fats, which is called as MUFA and PUFA. So they are the good fats. The bad ones are the saturated and saturated fats. And if it's mentioned the trans fat or saturated fat content, and if you see it's high, say more than say 3% or 4% per the entire fat percentage, then it should be considered as high, and we should try to avoid certain foods which have that. Okay. So here I've given you how much fat is too much fat, like I was talking. So per 100 grams of food, if you see that there is less than 3 grams of fat, then we will consider that food as a low fat food. Okay. If the food percentage is between 3 grams to 17.5 grams, then it is a medium fat food. And if it is more than that, then it's considered as a high fat food. So even if the food claims to be, say, diabetic friendly, it could mean that it has no added sugar, but it could still be high in the fat percentage. So for diabetics and pre-diabetics, it is important to look at the fat percentage also. Because see, hyperlipidemia and dyslipidemia is really, really common, and it is kind of associated with our insulin resistance. And therefore, not only we have to be conscious about the sugars or added sugars, we have to be very much conscious about the fat percentage. And we have to look for packaged foods which are in the low fat category. Now, this will be very important in terms of milk and milk products, which we have every day. So looking for a low fat or a double toned milk or a curd or yogurt, if you're buying it from outside, is a very good and an informed choice. Otherwise, that will contribute to a lot of fat percentage in your daily intake, and it could be contributing to higher calorie intake overall. Okay. So coming to the next part is carbohydrates. So I was talking earlier that the total carbohydrates will be mentioned on the food label. Okay, so it will be divided into two categories. First will be fibers, and then will be sugars. So there will be starches also mentioned in some of the food labels. So what we as Weight Watchers are conscious to make a conscious informed decision, what we have to look for is more of fiber percentage and more of starch content, because these are the complex carbohydrates. Now the complex carbohydrates are the good ones, the good carbohydrates, which will be beneficial for us and which we can take. So in case you're carb counting, then you can add up this in your total carb intake and look for carbohydrates coming from the complex sources, whereas we have to kind of totally avoid the simple sugars or the processed or refined sugars or added sugar in the carbohydrate label. So a food with a good amount of fiber is considered really healthy. Foods which contain about 3 grams of fiber or more per 100 gram, per serving size of the food is considered to be a high fiber food. So if you're looking for a high fiber food, then we should look for more than 3 grams per serving size. Okay, and that will be a good choice, provided the added sugars are less or zero. Okay, so we have to take in consideration both of them. Coming to sugars, now sugars can be really tricky. Reading the sugars will be really, really tricky, because with these packaging norms or kind of understanding what names could be used for sugars, you will be surprised to know that there are more than 80 names in the market for sugars. Okay, so it will not be only sugar, it will be in various other names. So I have made an attempt to put all of these names in the next few slides, because this is really important for a diabetic and a pre-diabetic person to understand how the sugars could be hidden in your food. Okay, so like I told you in the earlier food label, the total sugars will have both. Okay, it will have the natural ones present naturally in the food, and the second will be the added sugar. So if something is claiming refined sugar free, that means it has no added sugar, but it could have natural sugars which are really high, or it could have other sources of sugar. So if a food is mentioning refined sugar free, then ideally it is not a healthy choice always. So it could have a lot of other forms of sugar. That only means that they've not added any white sugar to it. Okay, but they could be honey, they could be agave, they could be syrups, or there could be a lot of other fruit juice, for example. So fruit juice is not an ideal choice for any diabetic or pre-diabetic person. So if that is added to a product you're having, thinking that you're having fruit is not a good choice, because that fruit juice will have a lot of naturally present sugar, which will cause a spike in the blood sugar levels. Okay. So here we have mentioned few of the names: rice malt syrup, brown rice syrup, agave, golden syrup, and maple syrup. So anything which has syrup mentioned, SYRUP, means there is some hidden form of sugar. So beware of this term syrup. Okay. So see here, I have mentioned multiple names. So apart from the multiple names, there could be many in the one product. So when we read the ingredient list of the product, there will be sugars present in 3 to 4 forms. So the manufacturers or the marketing guys or the product making companies, what they do is to reduce the say to kind of fool us, they add sugars in 3 to 4 different forms. So any one product might have some lactose, some fruit powder, and some agave nectar. So you will think, okay, it just has, maybe you know about agave nectar, that okay, that is a form of sugar. So you'll think there's only one source, one name in the ingredient list. But if you go through the ingredient list, you'll realize that there are 3 to 4 different names of sugars present. And if you are really aware of all of these different names, then you will understand that the total sugar in the food is really high. Okay, so it is misleading in a sense that it has no sugar or no refined sugar, but it could be multiple names, and there could be many names in one product. So you have to be conscious of both of them. So I'll just read out a few of these for your few of the uncommon ones. So we think that the corn syrup is not a sugar source. Mostly maltose, dextrose, glucose, fructose, most of the diabetics and pre-diabetics are aware of, and many people know about it. But corn syrup is something which many of us ignore. Brown rice syrup, for example, we'll think that it has some good extract from the brown rice, but it is again a form of hidden sugar. Okay, then there will be coconut blossom nectar. Now this doesn't really sound like a sugar, but still it is a source of added sugar. It's source of added it will impact your sugar levels to a great extent. Okay, then I will take a few of them which are very, very uncommon, so which we do not really understand. So fruit powder, fruit paste, fruit puree, for that matter, they are something which is, they are some names which are very misleading, because we think that okay, fruit is a good thing, but fruit as such, having a whole fruit is different, and something that is added to a packaged product with the fruit name in it is different. Okay, so we need to understand that something which has fruit juice or fruit paste, fruit powder, fruit puree, all of that is not good. Okay, we do not have to buy a product, being diabetics or pre-diabetics specifically. We will not go for this. Oat syrup. Now, oats are good for diabetics, but a oat syrup will mean a source of sugar. Okay, then there is sorghum syrup here, and there's a vegetable juice concentrate. So concentrate will have again various ingredients. So vegetable juice as such might be good, but then if it's a carrot juice, it will have more say simple carbohydrates, and then as a concentrate, it will have some other chemicals or ingredients again added to that vegetable juice. Okay, yeah, so I have put some more names here because I really wanted the crowd here to just have a look, at least, because you know something that when it comes in front of your eye once, you will tend to remember all of these names, and I really want all of our audience to look at them very, very clearly. Okay, so pancake syrup, powdered sugar, raw sugar, refined sugar, easy to understand. Saccharose is a technical term. You might not be aware of it. Sorbitol, sorghum, okay. Then there is caramel, there's coconut palm sugar. Now, coconut sugar, again, many people think that diabetics can easily have it, but even coconut sugar is a form of sugar and it will cause a spike in your blood sugar levels. So it's not like the great choice. Okay. Lactose is there, which is present in most of the milk and milk products. And we think, okay, this is a form of, say, lactose. Lactose could be, say, naturally present in milk and it will not harm me. So high amounts of lactose can also cause a spike in sugar levels. Molasses, malt-based products, all the malt-based products, malt-based drinks in the market will also contribute to high sugar levels. So we should avoid that. Okay, and really emphasizing on all of these names which are used to fool the customers on the packaging, because these names are really, really misleading. Beet sugar, for example. Then there is dextrin, dextrose, diastase, all of that. Okay. So I hope you all have just gone through, just taken a look at all of these names, because it's important to remember all of them. Okay.
I would recommend to take a screenshot of that, Venus. Every participant can take screenshot of this so that they can have it handy when they go to shopping, so that they can see these names and compare whether they have this sugars or not in the products. So I would recommend everyone to have a snapshot of this slide so that you can have it very handy when you go into your grocery shopping.
Definitely. That's a very good advice, Shanmugh. We should encourage all the users here to take screenshots of this slide. And if you've taken the screenshot of this one, I will switch to the previous slide also. That also had certain names. So
I have found difficulty when I go to grocery shopping to search on net the content and everything. So it will be very handy if we have one-stop solution for this, all the sugar names.
Yeah. So, talking in that context, there are a few apps that are coming up on the internet. So there is one food label. There's an app called as Food Label. So it has few food labels loaded in it. So we can use that app. Now there is a food label coding app. So I'm not remembering all of those names right now, but I have gone through an app which allows us to scan the food product, the ingredients, and it has a certain database of all these ingredient lists. And so it will kind of guide us which is a healthier choice and which is not. And once we make it has an option for us to develop a grocery list for ourselves, or record the foods which were good to us, which were good in terms of our health, and which we have eaten earlier, and we can save a grocery list there of those foods which are taken. So these apps are recently coming up in the market, and I'm sure there'll be something very, very nice coming up soon, which will really help us understand these food labels in the future, because we are, no matter what, we are being dependent on the packaged food because of fast lives and because of a lot of heavy work schedules. So, okay, let's go ahead. So I hope you've taken the screenshot of this slide, and take a screenshot of this one as well, all the diabetics and the pre-diabetics especially, because it is very, very important for you to remember these names. Okay. So I hope you've all done that. Let's go ahead. Take care. So I have put some notes here so that I do not forget discussing all of that. So say, do not let all the fancy packaging fool you. What I was discussing right now, sometimes the packaging will say cholesterol free, okay, and it will be mentioned on the oils mostly. So if you go ahead and buy a vegetable oil, or say Safola or some other oil, they will also mention cholesterol free. But actually, as a matter of fact, none of the vegetables oils or none of the vegetarian products, anything that's coming from a plant, will never have cholesterol naturally present. Cholesterol is only present in the animal-based food. So it is present in milk and milk products. It is present in meat, eggs, dairy, all of that, but not any of the plant-based food. So if it says cholesterol free, it's not like that something the company has done a great job to make it cholesterol free. It's naturally cholesterol free. Same goes for gluten. I have personally seen in the market that there are some products which are made up of brown rice, and there are some products which are made up of oats, and they are naturally gluten free, but still the companies label it as gluten free so that we pick up those products, especially from the shelves. because they look more attractive and they seem to be more healthy to us. But naturally, if you pick up anything that's from a local store, which is not even packaged and not even labeled and made out of oats, it is naturally gluten free. So the marketing and the product packaging teams can, they come up with all of these ideas to make the packaging very interesting and to appeal to the users that, okay, this is really healthy and really good. But we really need to turn the package and understand these claims much better and delve more into the nutrition labels. Okay. Another thing is that if you read the ingredient list, so the ingredients will always be placed in a descending order. So something that is placed as the first three in the ingredient list is the highest amount present in the food. I will take an example of this in the next slide because I really want to explain you this. Okay. So they usually use jargons to hide certain things. And like I told you, serving size and the serving packs are different. Now, let me just take you through this. See how to read. This is an example of how to read the ingredients. I took you through the nutrition label. Now, ingredients will be, say, for example, in this dates ragi bar, the ingredients are dates, dry coconuts, ragi, then pumpkin seeds, almonds, cashew nuts, amaranth, dry dates, edible gum, flaxseed, muskmelon seeds, and chia seeds. So here, the main ingredients in this ragi bar is dates, dry coconut, and ragi. These three. Okay. What if you are looking for a product which has a lot of chia seeds, like you want to add chia seeds to your food list, and you pick up this ragi bar thinking, okay, this has a lot of chia seeds, but the chia seeds is something which is the least in the quantity. So if you're looking for muskmelon seeds or flax seeds rich products, then this is not the right choice. But if you're looking for dates, then this is the best choice. So the ingredient list will always be in a descending order. What is mentioned as the first three names will be the highest in the quantity present in the food. Okay, this is a very, very important fact, and it is always like that. As a matter of rule, it is always mentioned like that. So here, just give me a second. Okay. Okay, I'm so sorry. So here, like I was mentioning, if you have on the ingredient list, if you have say a product which is a lot of high sugar, say if it has maple syrup in the first three ingredient list, then that's not a good choice for you, because you have to be conscious. So the ingredients you do not want to take, make sure they are not in the first three in the ingredient list, like the form of sugars, or it could be a form of saturated fats. And any form of saturated fats will be solid fats, like hydrogenated vegetable oil. So if hydrogenated vegetable oil is in the first three of the ingredient list, then we should not go for that product. So ingredient list is very, very, it's a good picture of the entire food product. Here, with the ingredient list, I would also mention another thing. See, if in the ingredient list, there is something that you have never heard of, okay, that is very difficult to pronounce, or that is absolutely new for you. Yeah, like this ingredient list seems quite common, but if there's something which is very, very typical, then it's better not to go for such products. Why? Because that ingredient, what is that ingredient? If you have never heard of it in the entire life, then what good will it do to you? Okay, it could be a bad ingredient, it could be good also. So either there is one option of checking with your nutrition expert, checking with your health coach, or any medical practitioner who knows about the ingredients well. Okay. Second is Googling it, but then Googling it out is also very, very tricky, because Google can give you all sort of information. The third is, I, as a nutritionist, will be avoiding anything in the ingredient list which I do not know of, or even a normal person, if you're not aware of, never heard of, then just avoid it, because it will not be good. It could be something chemically synthesized in a factory. Okay, so it will do some harm to you. So if the ingredients seem to be really natural, which you can get in your grocery stores, or which you have heard of, used personally in cooking, then they are very good. I'll take you to the next slide. So here is what I was talking about. So the product, see, dates is the highest in quantity and the chia seeds is the lowest in quantity. I already discussed it. Let me take it to the next. Okay, so we have to be really mindful of the serving size or the pack size and the nutrition information given. Apart from that, the preservatives, stabilizers, and all the things added chemically will be given in technical terms. They will be like INS 101, E102, etc., etc. So, like I was mentioning, if there is some technical term which you do not understand, that means it has something tricky. So we should just avoid it. Go ahead and avoid it. Okay. Unless and until you have, say, a health coach from Sugarfit or anybody at your access whom you can ask about these preservatives or additives, whether you can take something with them. So just go ahead and avoid it. And in case you're lactose intolerant, allergic to wheat, gluten sensitive, in case you do not tolerate any of the ingredients very well, so you have to be conscious of the additives and the allergens mentioned. So for example, a product might be made out of rice or oats, but it might be manufactured in a factory which has wheat products being processed. So if you're gluten sensitive to the protein present in wheat, then you have to look for the allergen information as well. Now, these are few of the labels that make very good sense to me, and that is why I put them here. And these are the labels we should look for when we are going out to buy healthy products. Okay, so one of them is zero trans fat. So trans fat is basically the bad fat. It should be absolutely zero in all the products you buy. Okay, so anybody who's manufacturing a product with 0.5 grams per serving or lesser can label it zero trans fat. So here again we have to calculate the serving size. ठीक है, अगर zero trans fat mentioned है मतलब 0.5 ग्राम से कम होगा. But अगर आप उस product की 5-6 serving खा रहे हो, तो just multiply that 0.5 grams into multiple servings, right? So then it will increase the quantity of trans fat in your food. So you have to be conscious, but anything that's zero trans fat, and in case you stick to 1 or 2 servings of that food, it is particularly healthy and it is good. Non-GMO. Non-GMO is again a product which has no genetic modification involved. Okay. So here, that means that it is guaranteed that these products have high quality processes and there is no genetic modification involved in these products, and we can definitely go for that. Okay, so that's a non-GMO verified product. Next, there are other few labels that make really sense to me. One is organic. So the product without any use of any chemical, fertilizers, pesticides, any artificial agents will be labeled as USDA organic. So these products are something we should look for, and these are good to go. Okay, next will be no added growth hormones. Okay, so this will be more important in terms of choosing meat-based products or for non-vegetarians, for eggs and stuff like that. So there should be no artificial growth hormones used in these products. So this is a label which makes sense to the non-vegetarians. Okay. Other labels which make complete sense to me are made with whole grains. So whole grains are the best buddies for diabetics, pre-diabetics, and for anybody who is predisposed to all of these metabolic disorders. So if something is made up of whole grains, means that the entire grain kernel is used in making that product, including the bran, the germ, and the endosperm. Suppose if there is wheat, so all of these are the outer layers of a wheat grain which contribute to the good fiber in that whole grain. So that means usme kuch bhi refined products nahi hai, and it is completely healthy to consume, and it is a good choice to make. Okay, so if it is written 100% whole grains, then it's much better, because even something that is made with whole grains will have some refined things added. But if it's 100% whole grains, it is the best. Okay, then there will be all natural. Okay, all natural means it is 100%. So it will be coming in these forms: 100% natural, all natural ingredients. So it's kind of an unregulated label. So it just means that it doesn't have any synthetic or artificial ingredients. So there's no measuring here, but it's kind of good. So all of these labels make good sense to me, and they are they are beneficial for us, we can go for them. Okay, so here are some pro tips which I would like to give all of you. It is like initially, aisa nahi hai ki I'm asking you to measure or count everything that you eat or drink for the rest of your life. Okay, so temporarily, if you are looking to go ahead and making better informed decisions, then initially for a month or two, just try to understand the typical serving sizes and portion sizes and try to control these portions at home. And slowly, in a month or so, I'm very sure that all of you will understand what is the correct serving size, what is the correct nutrition label that's useful for you. Okay, and always when you're buying a packet, buy a product which has less servings in it. So like if you buy a bigger pack which has 8 to 9 servings, that you will probably end up eating 2 to 3 servings. But if you buy a smaller pack which has 2 to 3 servings, it's easy for you to divide it into 3 servings. So buy smaller packs so that you end up eating less of these packaged foods. Okay, always avoid eating out of the packages in front of the TV while driving, walking around, when you're busy with other activities, because then you will consume more and more of this packaged food and you won't even realize or count the serving size. Okay, and when you're serving food at home, like if you are serving cereal from a packet to a container, then use small containers, small bowls, small dishes, so that the portion size or the serving size is recommended, it is controlled. Okay, now there are certain foods which will have high fat percentage with high calories. You might still go for them occasionally as a treat basis, but then pick up very small packs and pick them up, say only once a week or say twice a month if you are somebody who has high blood sugar levels. Okay. Now,
Because there are so many questions, can we once quickly go through them?
Yeah, this is the last slide, Shankar. We'll just
sure. Okay, cool.
This is the last one. We'll just go through them. So, eating your meals at regular times will also avoid overeating or going high on the serving sizes. Okay. So always buy the packs or snacks which have single serving pre-packaged foods if possible. That's always better because you'll open one pack and have one serving. Okay. So like I said, do not buy bigger boxes.